It began as a faint swirl above the western Pacific, just a distant cluster of clouds twisting over open waters. But as the hours passed, the system fed on the ocean's heat, drawing strength from the surface like a living creature awakening. Within days, the swirl became a storm. The storm became a monster. And the monster earned a name, Kalmaegi, known locally as Tino. The Philippines had seen storms before, but there was something unnerving about this one. The sea itself seemed to boil, churning with an unnatural warmth that meteorologists warned could supercharge the cyclone. Satellites captured a perfect spiral of white, the eye sharpening with each hour. Fishermen along the coast of Samar whispered to each other, "It's coming fast." By the time Kalmaegi entered the Philippine area of responsibility, it was already roaring. Winds screamed at 150 kilometers per hour, gusts nearly twice that. The air turned heavy, the horizon darkened, and the tropical calm that had blanketed the islands vanished like breath on glass. In coastal villages, children pressed their faces to windows as the first gusts struck. Coconut trees bent like grass. Metal sheets rattled on rooftops. Then came the rain, walls of water slamming down from the heavens. Streets disappeared under torrents that rose to knees, then to waists. The ocean pushed inland, swallowing roads, dragging boats through living rooms. By evening, power was gone in entire provinces. The once vibrant towns of southern Leyte and Cebu plunged into darkness, lit only by the flicker of lightning and the ghostly beam of flashlights reflecting off floodwaters. Wind howled like a chorus of screams. The smell of salt and mud filled every room. Families huddled together in evacuation centers, classrooms turned into shelters, churches crowded with those who had fled the rising tide. Mothers clutched their children close as the storm roared above, praying the roof would hold. In some places, it didn't. Roofs peeled away like paper, rain blasting in from every direction. Walls trembled, beams cracked, water surged under doors. Across the islands, rivers burst their banks. Hillsides collapsed in waves of mud and stone. Whole barangays vanished under landslides. Emergency teams struggled to move through the chaos. Roads blocked by fallen trees, power lines, debris. Rescue boats drifted through what had once been highways. The typhoon's eye cut a path straight across the Visayas. In Cebu, the wind tore billboards like tissue. In Leyte, waves slammed against the seawall, tearing chunks of concrete into the streets. In Negros Occidental, the floodwaters carried cars into rivers. Entire fishing villages along the coast were flattened. Wooden houses splintered, nets tangled in mangroves, boats tossed far inland. And yet, in the middle of this horror, moments of courage shone through. A father swam through the current to pull his daughter from a collapsing house. Neighbors formed human chains to rescue the elderly. Fishermen used their own boats to ferry stranded families to safety. The storm had taken away electricity, comfort, and calm, but it couldn't take away humanity. When dawn came, the world was unrecognizable. The sea had receded, leaving behind a wasteland of broken homes, twisted power poles, and silence. The air was thick with the smell of wet wood and gasoline. Children wandered barefoot through the ruins, looking for toys lost to the flood. Dogs barked in confusion. The sun rose through a haze of steam, painting everything gold, a cruel contrast to the destruction below. Authorities moved fast, setting up temporary shelters and field kitchens. Helicopters hovered above isolated towns, dropping food and medicine. Relief trucks crawled through mud, their wheels half buried. Volunteers worked without sleep, clearing roads, lifting debris, comforting those who had lost everything. But the scale was immense. Hundreds of thousands displaced, crops ruined, power grids down for days. Kalmaegi had not just battered the land, it had exposed a fragile truth. The Philippines, sitting on the typhoon belt of the Pacific, was once again face to face with nature's fury. Storms were no longer seasonal events. They were relentless tests of endurance. Each year, the winds grew stronger, the rains heavier, the sea warmer. Scientists warned that the ingredients behind Kalmaegi's strength, hot ocean temperatures, rising humidity, shifting wind patterns, were part of a trend. Climate change was turning ordinary typhoons into superstorms. And for island nations like the Philippines, that meant each season could bring another disaster like this one. But beyond the science were the people, resilient, enduring, unbroken. In the days after the storm, communities came alive. Fishermen repaired boats with salvaged wood. Farmers drained flooded fields, determined to plant again. Children returned to school, their classrooms now shared with evacuees.
Oy, Len, yung balde ay nangalabay.
There was pain in every face, but also quiet defiance. We will rebuild. 1 week later, as the floodwaters receded, the true scale of the destruction became clear. Thousands of homes gone, roads collapsed, bridges washed away. But amid the ruins, people planted flags, symbols of hope, made from old tarps and bamboo poles. They stood as reminders that the human spirit can't be drowned. Satellite images showed Kalmaegi moving westward into the South China Sea, still powerful, still dangerous. Its spiral expanded like a wound across the ocean, heading toward Vietnam. But behind it, the Philippines began to heal. The storm had passed, but its echo would remain, in memories, in lessons, in the way the wind now made people pause and look up. In the aftermath, interviews with survivors captured one emotion again and again: awe. Not just fear, but respect. A reminder that humanity, despite all our progress, still kneels before the forces of nature. Typhoon Kalmaegi was more than a weather event. It was a message that in a changing world, no coast is truly safe, and no storm is truly just another storm. Weeks later, life began returning to a fragile normal. Lights flickered back on in towns that had been dark for days. Markets reopened. Boats returned to sea. Children laughed again, though the sound was softer, more cautious. Every rumble of thunder now made people listen. Every breeze carried the memory of that night. And still, the sea waits. Each year it grows a little warmer, a little more restless. Meteorologists can forecast the winds, predict the paths, but not the fear, not the silence before the storm, nor the sound of roofs tearing apart. The next Kalmaegi will come. Its name may be different, but its power will be the same. For now, the people of the Philippines look eastward at sunrise, toward the endless ocean that both feeds and threatens them. They live with courage, because they must. Because when the horizon turns black and the air grows heavy, when the waves whisper warnings, they will stand once again, knowing that they have faced the fury before and survived. If you're watching this, remember, behind every satellite image, every weather report, there are faces, families rebuilding from nothing, children learning what it means to fear the sky, and heroes who risk everything to save others. The story of Typhoon Kalmaegi isn't just about destruction, it's about endurance, about how, even in the darkest storms, the human spirit refuses to break.